Welcome back, everyone. So today I would like to do, I guess, an updated tour, an update to the first video that I put out, which was my entire houseplant tour. But this is not an entire houseplant tour because that would just be a crazy long video. But since I have made that video, that very first video, I have collected a lot more orchids. And I want to take you just to kind of show you the orchids that I have and to highlight the orchids that are currently in bloom, because quite a few of them are in bloom right now. Let's roll. So right here at my little planty altar, we have a hybrid. This is an intergeneric That's my microwave. We have an intergeneric hybrid. It is a nighttime fragrant orchid. Oh, do you hear that? Literally my tea, when it pressurizes, do you hear that? Yeah, the air needs to come out. Oh my God. Oh boy. Anyway, so yes, it is a nighttime fragrant orchid because it's natural pollinators of the parentage, because this is not a natural hybrid. The pollinators are moths, and that is why it is only fragrant in the evening. All right, moving along to this lovely space. There are quite a few more flowers here since I made the last tour. Like I said, I can't get to everything, so we're just really gonna focus on the flowers for the most part. But you're gonna recognize some babies here and there. So let's see, we have a beautiful Phalaenopsis. I bought this on my birthday. My mom came to visit me, which was very nice. It was a great day. And when she left, I went to a store and bought this orchid. And I love the blush pink on these flowers. Look at that. It's beautiful. I actually saved this orchid from sure death. And I won't say exactly where I got it, but I did get it from a place not too far from where I live. And somebody packed it in moss that smelled like utter shit. It smelled like a toilet. There was rot in that moss, no question about it, and it was going to rot in there. Luckily, the roots were still pretty good, so I repotted it into this lovely pot that I got from Plant Corner NYC in Harlem. Love that store. Love Jira, the owner. And then over here we have an Encyclia Orchid with these beautiful, like structurally, they're just magnificent. Look at that shape. That is insane. This is an Encyclia Orchid here. Orchids, they get pretty complicated names because like this cross with that, you know. But look at these flowers. Isn't that just the bee's knees, people? Now, it's currently in bloom, and I actually saved it from root rot. So if you look down here, it is actively growing. So it has new growth right here, and then new growth on the other side right there. Now, these bulbs, they look really disgusting. They look really shriveled and wrinkly, and they're probably not going to puff back up. I am watering this. Usually that means it's dehydrated. I am watering it, but I'm pretty sure the reason why it's doing that is because this plant is putting so much energy into these beautiful flowers. And these flower spikes, if it's healthy, it should last a few months. You know, like a Phalaenopsis orchid. As long as the blooms look good and as long as it's still growing here, I know that it's healthy. It just doesn't look so right here. But once these flower spikes are spent, I'm pretty sure this will puff back up and look nice and healthy again. Here we have another orchid that looks similar to the first one I showed you. I believe this is one of the parents. This is a Brassivola. And it's white and it's only fragrant at night. This one much more fragrant than the other one I showed you, but very similar, beautiful white. The flower actually kind of reminds me of like a vanilla orchid flower. Unfortunately, those flowers only last like one day. So at least these should last about a month from what I hear. I have so many things that are in bloom right now. I want to show you guys all of them. I have this beautiful little Phalaenopsis. Look at these flowers. It looks like they were just painted on. I just think that is so beautiful. I think I also got this from Plant Corner as well. She has some really fabulous orchids there, so yes. And he's doing very well in his pot. Here I have a beautiful Phalaenopsis. It's this really interesting color. I got this from the orchid show at the New York Botanical Garden because they had an orchid show there this spring. And I just want to show you this in better light. But if I can give you the full effect, like let me bring it under this light here. They're not quite red, they're not quite magenta, they're like a fuchsia color. And it really varies on the lighting that they're in. And I just think, you know, they're not pink, they're not violet. It's just a really interesting color. And it's, again, it's really hard to capture on camera. I wish it could capture it because it's really quite amazing. It almost looks red, even though it's not. But again, a really interesting color, really fun to look at, and it's in full bloom right now. Has a beautiful short spike, which I actually don't mind, and really, really nice roots growing in here. Actually has some nice active growth tips on the roots down there as well. And it has a really interesting tint to the leaves. Slightly different from my other Phalaenopsis, like this leaf color versus this. Again, I don't know if it's gonna come off on camera. It's a little bit more like an olive green, like a rustic kind of green. Is that even coming off? It probably isn't, but yeah, love him. He's a nice little weathered terracotta pot. I weathered this one myself. An easy way you can weather your own terracotta pots. Put some peat moss in here. That's nice and thick, will hold on to a lot of moisture, and dump just a fuck ton of fertilizer in here and then drench it. I just put it under my cabinet, my sink cabinet, and I just let it sit there for like a month. After a month, it put out all this. So yeah, just dump a shit ton of fertilizer in there, guys, and just let it do its thing. All right, moving up here. We no longer have that big prop and quam. That is now with my friend in the Bronx. So up here we have these beautiful red flowers that are in full bloom right now. And this was a no ID. The guy at the store said it was a wildcat, but I'm pretty sure that's not what it is. I don't even know what the heck that even means. But look at those flowers right there. They're beautiful. I actually want to take this down to show you. Look how they're red and orange. I just love orchids. I just love how weird and wonderful their flowers look. Yes, okay, wow. Let's zoom out a little bit. You guys might have seen this boy before in one of my other videos when I was redecorating and stuff. Beautiful Phalaenopsis Orchid with this really cool, like, it almost looks like veining. Really nice. These flowers have been in their prime for quite a while, so they should be dropping pretty soon. I'm pretty sure. Over here we have a Dendrobium Orchid that is putting out a new Kiki right here, but it also is still in full bloom and it's doing really well. And it's kind of hard to see because it's backlit. These grow lights are not really the best, but it's yellow and purple. If you can see that right there. Gorgeous. And then we have a plant that I got from a little shop called Manhattan Florist in Chinatown. Best kept secret in Manhattan, just tucked away, been there for about as long as I've been alive. And look at that, it's an Oncidium. It looks like a really popular Oncidium known as Sherry Baby that a lot of people talk about, and it has this vanilla chocolatey fragrance to it. This does not have that fragrance. It has a nice floral fragrance, I will say that, and it looks almost exactly the same. Look at those flowers. They're white and like a pinkish red, or like a maroon red. Look at that. Just a beautiful structure. Oh, and then moving to this monster here. I also got this from the New York Botanical Garden. I've only had him for about maybe 2-3 weeks at this point, not very long. This is a big, beautiful Vanda Orchid. And look at these flowers here. They are still in full bloom. They are still holding on strong. And I'm new to orchids and I'm very new to Vandas. And they're not the easiest orchid to take care of in the world just because they are usually bare root and usually need to be watered very frequently. So that can make them a little bit of a hassle, but I'm experimenting. I have a couple other Vandas in my grow tent, so I'm experimenting the different watering schedules and stuff, because people will say that these have to be watered twice a day, and it's like, who the fuck has time to water a motherfucking plant 2 times a day? People that have no job and no life. Those I'm sorry. And I work from home. And I still don't have time to do that. So no, like I'm not watering you twice a day. Get the fuck out of here. But you know what? After 3 weeks, it's still doing pretty good. So you know what? Time will tell, guys. Time will tell. Moving along over here, we have a hanging Phalaenopsis with pink flowers. Look at that. So I recently got a Phalaenopsis schilleriana, and it was tiny and beautiful. It had this beautiful pink flower spike. Unfortunately, the flower spike started to wilt a little bit, and the plant got a little bit stressed. So I made the very difficult decision of chopping that spike off. The reason why I chopped it off is because orchids tend to be suicidal, meaning that they will try to preserve their flower spike even if it means sacrificing their own health and their own life. So I wanted it to regrow its root system and to put out new leaves rather than try to hold on to its flower spike. So it is in my grow tent. It's stable. It's doing well. It's growing a little baby root. So I think we're in the clear. But I was just kind of feeling like I just want a little pink flower spike. So now I have this big pink flower spike looking beautiful. This is more or less what schilleriana flowers look like. Maybe a little bit lighter pink. Beautiful. Schilleriana, they have these really long, cascading, branching flower spikes, and I believe it is a primary hybrid of a lot of store-bought Phalaenopsises because that's how you get these long, arching, beautiful flower spikes. Most well, I don't want to say most, but the ones that I see, the popular true species of Phalaenopsis usually have very short, petite flower spikes, very small flowers, very beautiful, but and then a couple flowers, so they'll be like way up here. So not the most spectacular thing versus this. I just bought it from Home Depot, 20 bucks, and and I had this basket. So I just wanted to add a little color to my windowsill. You know what I'm saying? All right, moving over here, we have another Dendrobium, much larger. Look at this robust looking plant. And then up here, look at these flowers. Look at that. I'm gonna put the light on it a little bit. Ooh, look at that, like little antelope ears. Or not ears. Fucking, you know what I mean. And look at some of them have not fully opened. Look, they're like playing peekaboo. Look, peekaboo. And this one's like, I see you. So he's doing very well. And then I think the last orchid I have to show you guys, that was a really quick tour. That was a lot shorter than I thought, but that's good. I won't keep you too long. Last one, probably the one I'm most excited about. This is a Miltoniopsis orchid that I got from Foliage Garden. They also have a lot of really amazing orchids and aeroids galore in the flower district. That is a store that's been around for many, many years. And look at all these blooms. We have 2 spikes that are in almost full bloom. And then we have one that is coming into bloom now. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe more hiding back there. At least 5 more spikes of flowers. Now each spike should last 4 to 6 weeks, ideally. But yes, look how beautiful that is. And you know what? Actually, it would be wrong of me to end it on this plant and not show you guys the original Dendrobium orchid that I showed you that was in bloom. It was the last plant that I showed you, or one of the last plants that I showed you. It was on my dresser in my very first video. So let's go look at him and see how he's doing. And here he is, guys. So he has no flowers anymore. These 2 spikes are the ones that had the flowers. And it's putting out this new growth, and back here, this new stalk right there. So maybe this fall it'll put out 3 flower spikes. Cross your fingers and toes, knock on wood. Let's see. But he is doing so well. He has so many new roots coming in. Look at those green tips. Oh, love it. Oh my God. So yes, he is doing very well. And he's growing so robust. Look at that. Oh, I love it. And that is it, guys. And this is a whole mess I won't get into. This is for another video, for another day. But now it is time to sign off. let you get back to your day, let you get back to your life, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.